Greetings from light and blessings. So you invoke our name on this day and you ask for peace and hope and joy. What peace can we give if there is none in your own heart that can attract it? What hope when so often you are gripped by hopelessness and despair? What you ask for must already be present within you, even if it is in a minute energy equation. For there must be a resonance for your desire to be fulfilled. And resonance can only take place when like attracts like. Oh, we are aware that you are not going through very comfortable times. We are aware of the upheavals, the disappointments, the conflicts even. But if you should firmly remember and even more firmly believe and know that not for a moment, not for a moment, is there anything in this divine universe that wishes to cause you upheaval, that wishes to bring into your life disappointment, that wishes to bring to you conflict? Not for a moment is this wished. The purpose of life itself, the purpose of all life, is the eternal expression of love. And in that love, there is no place for sadness and sorrow and pain and anger. But In your reality, all this is present. And you do experience it. The conflict within is supported by the wars outside, and the wars outside are eternally supported by the conflicts within. And the hunger and starvation outside are only expressions of the deep, deep vacuums that cannot be filled, not even by the richest man in the world and all his gifts. So this seems to be a paradox. And so it is essential to understand on this day of peace and hope, why this paradox exists. And the answer lies, as we have already said, in the expression of love. But let us explain this. All of the divine universe, and we cannot reiterate enough when we say all, for even its darkest corner is included in the all. Even the space that you might consider most vile is included in the all. All of the universe has only one purpose: the expression of love. And you, as this beauteous part of this beauteous divine universe, are also filled. Every cell within you is filled with the purpose of the expression of love. Truly, beloveds, there is no other purpose. The teaching, the healing, the service, the science, the trade, the commerce, creation and music and art and poetry, all have but one purpose: the expression of love. Though this expression is unique, and thus it is sometimes not recognized as the expression of love. So the gentle mother who nurtures and serves all the children who might come to her is recognized as an expression of love. But the hard-nosed, logical, analytical tradesman is not viewed as that expression at all. So let us explain this expression of love. For in this lies hope. And only, beloveds, only where there is hope can there be peace. So millions shall pray to us today. O beloved Buddha, bring into our lives peace and hope and health. And all we shall bring to them is hope. For if there is hope, there is everything. When hope is lost, understand that nothing else can be gained. And so today we embrace you and enrich your life with hope. But we have gone away from the subject of our talk, the expression of love. When you are light, when you are consciousness, for consciousness is light, love is your state of existence. It cannot be explained. There are no words that we could use that could even come close to explaining this state of existence. It is a state of bliss. Where there is no need for hope. For hope is needed when the person is separated from bliss. It is mindless, it is formless. It is a state of constant creation, creating itself anew. But then consciousness, or a part of consciousness, seeks to express the state. A part of consciousness seeks to express the state. In a sense, not satisfied just to be it. And that is what we call divine dissatisfaction. The need to express itself. And in that moment of divine dissatisfaction, when consciousness wishes to express the state of love, is born life as you know it. In that moment. And that life has but one purpose: expression of the state of love. Now here comes the paradox, the divine paradox. To express that which cannot be expressed. to express that which can only be experienced. But the purpose is expression. And so consciousness does not lose the light that it is, but is covered by an illusion, a veil of illusion. This veil very effectively disallows consciousness to become aware of the experience which it is eternally aware of. See the paradoxes here. In this non-awareness is born the ego. Spirit cannot be born, it is. But now it has chosen to express that which cannot be expressed. And so it needs a vehicle. And that vehicle is the ego. And here is another paradox. The divine is truly amusing. The ego is the only part of life that is capable of expression. For spirit can only be, light can only be. Ego, being illusory, cannot be. And yet it is. And because it is, however illusory it is, it seeks and is capable of expression. So we have ego, that is illusion, that is now to serve the divine purpose of expression of love which it cannot feel. And light, consciousness, spirit is love but cannot express. How to bring these two seemingly incompatible friends into union? And that is your life's journey. So it starts with ego, the newly born, the vehicle of expression, sitting on its throne, knowing that the purpose of life rests in it. And so it becomes the forerunner, almost forgetting that its creator, consciousness, light, spirit, is not behind nor in front, but with it. Now this ego forgets, as it must, the state of love. Nay, we err here. It never knows the state of love. So, in order to fulfill its purpose of expression of love, ego must choose that which is essentially the opposite of love. And so it chooses what you have termed as fear. And in that fear lies all seeds: despair, hatred, loathing, rage. Oh, so many seeds. Some more toxic than the others. And these seeds are present in each and every life form. And that is why, beloved, the urging not to judge. For though you might see the plant in her, the seed is also present in you. And shall continue to be present in you. For that is the task of ego. So fear, beloveds, in the greatest expression of divine paradox, is the vehicle used to express love. Consciousness, light, spirit. In a state of love, urges ego, its own creation, urges ego to express unity, harmony, oneness. Ego, using its own creation of fear, looks at oneness, harmony, unity as goals to be attained. Hear us carefully. Looks at oneness, harmony, unity as goals to be attained. And when a goal needs to be attained, there is competition. For I, the ego, must attain this goal before you, the ego. And in this competition, in this rivalry, is birthed separation. And ego begins to work harder and harder, striving to push out more and more of those in its way to attain its goal. And this striving brings about wounds to itself and others. And in its attempt to either heal the wounds or deny the wounds, ego resorts to dishonesty, scheming, lying, manipulation. The integrity of consciousness, of light, of spirit, slowly but surely fading. But the divine paradox is the goal of ego is the unity. And the paradox rises because it must reach the goal first. So now there are wounds. So now there is fear. But more importantly, now there is lack of integrity. And when the integrity of light starts dimming, then ego becomes capable of any and all action. For it begins to be caught in another creation of its own, the right and the wrong. Where there is integrity, there is no right and wrong. So ego creates its lack of integrity and thus creates right and right and wrong creates further lack of integrity. But in all of this, which seems to be like divine chaos, there is a part of ego that begins to feel a void when integrity is lost. That part is a void, nothing can fill it. And the beginning of each one's quest starts from the moment when they express there is something missing inside. Throw your minds back to your journeys. It all started from something missing inside. And so starts the quest back into light, as though there were any other state but light. And in that questing, in that seeking to fill this emptiness within, the ego comes face to face with wounds. gaping wounds. Of course, wounds created by itself, but is that relevant? And because ego uses only one vehicle, and that is fear. When it comes face to face with its wounds, its first response is to deny them or to cause a wound even bigger in another, so that it can divert its attention to that bigger wound and not to its own. And in this, what seems to be endless wound upon wound, one causing to the other and the other to a third, and on and on and on. The missing part of integrity gets larger. And the question and the quest of finding that missing part gets deeper and sometimes so poignant in its depth, till that emptiness shouts louder than the wounds. And ego then must address, must see the wounds. And so its second stage is recognizing the wounds and addressing the wounds. But the second part of the second stage is recognizing and addressing the wounds it has caused to others so that it might deny its own wounds. And very often, beloveds, for many, the journey comes to a grinding halt here, for they are unable to believe that they are capable of such wounding. But if they should recognize and go through the entire second stage, not only shall the wounds be healed, and the only way to heal wounds, beloveds, is not by any balm. The only way to heal wounds is by recognition, acknowledgement, but not intellectual recognition. A recognition that is so deep that it sometimes threatens to tear you apart. In that raw recognition comes freedom. For in that recognition, beloved, there is a resurgence of integrity. That lost part without which consciousness, light, spirit cannot show its face, for it shall always be covered by the illusory veil. And when there is freedom from wounds, ego realizes that there is really no goal at all. There is no goal to be reached. There is no race to be won. And in that realization, the veils begin to drop. And almost like a whisper at first, ego begins to hear the voice of consciousness. And just as every seed within you draws to it like energy, the whisper of the voice of consciousness opens up the doors where consciousness seems to talk to you in so many voices all at once. And slowly the emptiness is being filled as voice upon voice of consciousness only reiterates that you are the integrity of light. And in this freedom comes service. The service of consciousness, where ego begins to see itself in the light of truth. And the light of truth is that ego is a most necessary vehicle of consciousness, but consciousness is the master. And whereas once the naughty ego had placed itself upon the throne, and the wise and divine master in amusement stood by while this naughty ego clambered up onto the throne. Now embraces the naughty child that has come to realization. And now follows the expression of love. For ego in its realization understands that no more does it need fear. For its master, consciousness, light, spirit, has always been present. What need of fear then? And as soon as fear drops, the state of existence of love, that is the eternal state of consciousness, begins to seep into ego, and it expresses this love in an enlightened form. What can I do that shall enrich us both? And in that question lies the expression of love. What can I do that shall enrich us both? Enrichment does not lie in making yourself poor and another rich. Do not glorify or condemn poverty. It is only one of the states that ego seeks to express itself through. Enrichment of another is complete when you are fully enriched. Now, how you seek to define enrichment makes you the tradesman or the businessman or the artist or the musician or the mother or the scientist or the doctor or the healer. Their own definitions of enrichment. So enrichment is possible only when it is in enlightened manner. And what is enlightenment, beloveds? This word has been used for us for so long. The Buddha attained enlightenment. Question: what did the Buddha attain? What is this enlightenment that Buddha attained? Forget not, Buddha was a man. The duality of ego and consciousness, alive and active. Forget that not. As you sit here, revering and adoring the Buddha, forget not that the Buddha sat exactly where you sit. So what is enlightenment? When every wound caused to you by self, by another, whom you choose to call another. When every wound caused by you to another, whom you choose to call another. is brought up and seen in the light. That is enlightenment. When the wounds of the ego are suffused in the light of consciousness, and when all wounds are suffused in that light, as we have said, there is freedom. And that is what Buddha attained, freedom. So, of course, in that moment he attained the greatest divinity and holiness there is. For there were no wounds left. Ego had quietly slipped down from its throne, knowing that even the throne was an illusion. Ego heard the whisper of consciousness, and that the world looked upon as this huge event. And so it was. But you shall be truly enlightened when you also know that that moment can and shall be yours. There is none who does not reach that moment. There is none. So you sit here as the Buddha sat there. And while he sat, did he know what he sat for? No, he did not. He just knew he had to sit. And while he sat, did he know that he would come face to face with raw and gaping wounds? No, he did not. He just knew he had to sit. And as he sat, and as he faced the raw and gaping wounds, did he run? No, he did not, for he knew he just had to sit. And in that knowingness, there was stillness. For enlightenment, the gaping wounds cannot frighten you. For if you should get up from the tree of wisdom under which you are seated, you shall have to just start the journey again, till once again you sit beneath that tree, and till once again you attain the stillness and the freedom, nirvana. But the only way you can remain seated still, while the wounds are bleeding all around you. The only way you can do this is when there is hope. And what is hope? Is it some utopian dream, some unattainable ideal, some fantasy created by an expert fairy tale? Hope is the whisper of consciousness to the ego. Hope is the vessel, the crib that consciousness carries ego in. If you can lose hope, then having everything that you have is meaningless. But if you should never lose hope, then you shall never lose anything ever again. For you shall know that what is lost is only that which has done its work and which now gently pushes you onwards to another phase in your journey. Hope is knowing, not through mere superficial intellect, but a deep knowing that catches you and never lets you go. Hope is a knowing that that which you are and that which is yours can never be lost. So, beloveds, as upheavals come into your lives, they do so only because you have started on your quest. It is because you wish to come face to face with your wounds. It is because you wish and pray and yearn for enlightenment. Oh, beloveds, not because the divine universe wishes to cause you pain. And just as consciousness holds the ego in the sacred waters of hope, the universe cradles you. Hope eternal. Let that be your prayer today. Hope eternal. For if it is yours, you shall ensure that it shall be another's as well. Hope eternal are the blessings of the Buddha.